everyone, it's time again to recap the latest news from the solar PV industry compiled by the American Solar Energy Society. I'm Jay Warmke with SolarPVTraining.com, and this is what's happening in the wonderful world of solar for the week of December 15th. The Trump administration has renamed the Natural Renewable Energy Laboratory, or NREL, now calling it the National Laboratory of the Rockies. NREL has been a global leader in wind, solar, and other renewable energy research for the last 50 years. The renaming is the latest in a series of actions by the Trump administration to de-emphasize or cut parts of the federal government that support renewable energy while expanding federal support for fossil fuels. The lab was established in 1974 as the Solar Energy Research Institute, part of a law signed by President Ford to facilitate alternatives to importing oil from the Middle East. In 1977, the federal government selected Golden, Colorado as the location for the lab. And in 1991, the Solar Energy Research Institute was renamed the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, part of a change by the administration of then-President George H.W. Bush, and also elevated that institution to become part of the country's national lab system. President Trump's freeze on approvals of major onshore wind and solar projects is leaving thousands of megawatts of clean energy capacity in limbo at a time of soaring demand for electricity. Reuters has done a review of the permitting data and interviews with industry officials, and what they have found is that there is just one solar project that has been approved on federal lands since Trump took office in January, and none have been permitted since July when Interior Secretary Doug Burgum ordered that all decisions related to renewable energy projects require his personal sign-off. The bottleneck extends to renewable energy projects proposed on private and state lands as well, because they often require federal permits for wildlife or water impacts or access roads, this according to developers and other government officials. Energy research firm Wood Mackenzie said it has identified 18 gigawatts of solar projects on federal lands that have been canceled or are inactive due to limited development progress since the start of this year. Despite facing significant policy headwinds, the U.S. solar industry installed 11.7 gigawatts of new solar capacity in the third quarter of this year, a jump of 49% from the second quarter. This according to a recent study by CEA, the Solar Energy Industries Association, as well as Wood Mackenzie. The rise follows a period of industry disruption caused by the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, or OBBBA, with most of the gains driven by utility-scale solar projects that were largely completed in the second quarter of this year. The pace of new solar installations has slowed down this quarter, indicating that the fourth quarter numbers are not going to be so rosy. The reason for this is due to these policy constraints and supply chain bottlenecks. Moreover, permitting delays remain a significant hurdle for new projects, and according to industry estimates, more than 117 gigawatts of solar and storage projects are currently stuck in the permitting process. A report by energy think tank Ember shows how cost reductions in battery storage technology are enabling dispatchable solar power to compete with conventional power sources. The cost of core battery energy storage systems, or BESS, equipment fell 40% in 2024 compared with 2023, reaching a record low of $165 per kilowatt hour. Ember's October 2025 data shows that further large falls in the price of battery systems are expected in 2025. Over the last 10 years, installed costs have fallen about 20% per year, and installations of battery systems have increased about 80% year over year. Now, storing about 50% of the day's solar output to meet nighttime demand adds about $33 per megawatt hour to the generation cost. Using the 2024 global average solar price of $43 per megawatt hour, then the total cost of dispatchable solar, basically solar energy anytime, will be around $76. Now, this compares with new combined cycle natural gas plants. That's the least expensive option that utilizes fossil fuel, and those cost between $50 and $110 per megawatt hour. Stewart Engineers is opening a solar glass facility in Ohio and expects production to begin in March of 2026. And that is the news from the solar industry for this week. We'll see you next week.